Very much, Chairman Williams. Are we ready to go with the recording?
Perfect. Well, I'll allow you to call this meeting to order.
Call it to order.
I shall determine a quorum. Director Scott Houston.
Here.
Chairman Harold Williams.
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez. Director Gloria Gray. Director John Deere.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Very good. How about public comment?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any requests for public comment for today's committee meeting. However, this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that wishes to make public comment under a virtual comment, please let us know by raising your virtual hand. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any requests for public comment.
Okay, move on to item 4, which is presentations. Do we have?
Staff has no presentations today.
Okay, then why don't we move on to the action calendar?
Happy to do so. The first item under the action calendar is item 5A. It's an item to amend contract with Oceanic Teaching Stations Incorporated. And for this presentation, we have Rosha, our manager of communications, as well as Janelle and Kyan, our public information specialist.
Hey, good morning, directors, members of the committee. I will be presenting on this K-12 education related item. But first, I just wanted to introduce our lone audience member right now, our newest West Basin staff member to join the Public Information and Education Department. I'd like to introduce Mr. Mel Miranda. He'll be serving on our department and team, and he brings a wealth of communications knowledge and experience, and he was just previously at Cal State Dominguez Hills. He worked in the athletics department where he was assistant director for external relations. And then prior to that, for more than a decade, served as assistant director for media relations and sports information. So we are happy to have him on board. So with that, I will.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, appreciate it.
It's on the games.
So I will start out with this contract amendment request because it is one of our key programs for our K-12 education programs to educate our young students about water and turning our young students into ambassadors at home and in their communities. And so this organization is also known as Roundhouse Aquarium. So the aquarium at the end of the Manhattan Beach Pier. So this is something separate. Right now, we know them as, providing additional services after our field trips to the Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility. Then they go over to the aquarium, and that's one program. What this contract amendment is about is their support services for additional tour guides. As part of their wide array of services, they have been providing us with additional instructor support. They know about our organization, they know about the watershed and our water supply issues. And so they've been helping us already. And so why we're coming back today is that we would like to increase the contract amount and extend the contract term by 1 year. So that way we can carry into the next school year, 2023, 2024. And so, there's some history in the packet that I'll leave to you to review at your at your leisure, but basically our tour guide support services has evolved over the year from staff to part-time staff to the LA Conservation Corps when C-Lab was in existence. And now, because we post-pandemic, we're starting to run at full operational capacity again and wanting to serve as many students as possible. We have found it very beneficial to the district and the students to have extra tour guides available to reach maximum amount of students interested. We do tend to fill up our spots. And so in 2022, we had conducted an informal solicitation. We did, at least get 3, interested parties. But why we chose Roundhouse Aquarium ultimately was because of their value, their cost per session was a lower cost, and then the longstanding relationship where we knew they had a proven track record of being good service providers. And so I just think that basically this has still kind of been an initial pilot period, again, post-pandemic. And so, we found that the proposed amendment would have a rate structure that would allow up to 100 school tours with up to 2 instructors, 24 classroom-based art lessons as a supplement to our Water is Like Art contest. And I think we had tremendous response this year, and that was even more than last year. And then also training for additional staff members as well, again, should we need some ad hoc support. Rates have minimally increased, which is, I think, remarkable. And we do plan to, this gives us an extra year or so to consider how we might go out for a formal solicitation next year. So on the bid network, although it's a pretty limited pool of service providers that can do this type of work, but nonetheless, we think it's good to go out to bid in the coming year. So if I can answer any questions and then read the recommendation, or I can just read the recommendation.
Read the recommendation, then we'll go from there.
Okay, so then the recommendation as stated, I'm sorry, and I was reading from packet page 3. But the recommendation as printed on packet page 5 is staff recommends that the board authorize the acting general manager to amend agreement W3059 with Oceanographic Teaching Stations, Inc. to provide instructor support for water education programs through the 2023-2024 school year that goes until June 30th, 2024, in the amount of $51,050 for a total not to exceed contract amount of $86,050. So that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Director Houston.
Thank you very much, Amy. I don't really have any questions. I would like to ask, though, that assuming that this gets approved, I know I've been working with them, but we haven't had a lot of contact with them as an organization, to my knowledge. So it's nice if moving forward, if they've got other things that they would make sure we're aware of or invited to.
Oh, right.
Because I know they do some other things, for the community or to host things, but I think West Basin normally gets or asked a lot of times.
Okay, we can keep us posted. Although I will say we did just participate with them. We were invited during Earth Month. Yeah, so I actually staffed that one. So we were set up at the pier. It was a beautiful day. And so we had a chance to kind of meet some of their passers by. So, but yeah, whatever, as an organization, events that they host, we'll keep that on our radar.
Because I think Surfrider South Bay has been doing a real good job of that more recently. So I think it'd be nice if these folks would do that. And down the road, I would love to see us re-engage somehow with the LA Conservation Corps. I don't know how we do that yet, but I think it's unfortunate we don't have that relationship as we used to. So that's a bigger picture issue here, but I'd like us to look at that as well.
And we have looked at kind of those opportunities. That was certainly something that we were, as we were looking for that. So again, that would also, we'll continue to engage with them as well, even if it is just as an organization in our area. And then of course, whatever support services they may be we might be able to consider. Again, as we look at procurement, that's a great avenue to, continue to pursue.
Director Deere,
Yes, sir.
next questions.
It's a good program.
Thank you.
Oh, why are we only extending 1 year?
Just typically, because it's still considered pilot a little bit in the sense that this would be the first year of full capacity, because I think we were still operating on the little bit of virtual elements. And so we're still kind of, making sure everything is running smoothly before we do any kind of multi-term contract. And then of course, for the dollar amount, we would need to do a formal solicitation.
Very good. I have none. Things look good to me. So I would ask Director Houston to move forward to the full board.
Yes.
Very good. I concur. So please, Mr.
Will do.
Items.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the next item we have is item 5B. It's an item to amend the contract with community partners. And similarly, we have our communications manager, Amy Rocha, for the presentation, along with Janelle and Kyan, our public information specialist.
I do just want to acknowledge Janelle. She's out at ECL doing school tours. And so she's the one that has really been, the main project manager on this. So, so I'm starting on packet page 13. And again, this is another one of our K-12 education programs. It's a relatively new organization that we've been working with, again, in a pilot capacity since pandemic mode. And now that, again, we're coming out into recovery and trying to maximize our reach, we're looking to extend the contract amount and also extend the contract term by 1 year. And so this is Community Partners. They also go by the name Wildwoods, and they implement our school, like at the school assembly programs called a drop in the bucket. They have they've received a contract award in October 2020 after an informal solicitation, which tried to focus on specialty water education vendors. And one of the reasons why we picked them is that they have an existing relationship with LA Unified School District, one of the larger school districts in our service area, as well as familiarity and work with LA DWP. And so we thought it would provide a better integration into our programs and trying to, again, extend our staff with these support services to be in the classroom and to provide teachers with additional resources to learn about water. And we've been pleased this year. They've been an excellent partner. And for this reason, we are looking to extend the time and amend the contract, both time and funds. And so I can also read the which is posted on packet page 15, and it says staff recommends that the board authorize the acting general manager to amend agreement W2924 with Community Partners doing business as Wildwoods to provide water education assembly programming for an additional 1 year until June 30th, 2024, and increase funding by $32,400 for a total not to exceed contract amount of $78,200. And I can answer any questions or Janelle can.
Thank you for the report. Questions and comments? Director Houston? No questions. Good. Dear. Anyone online?
We do not have any member of the board online.
Okay, well, I have no questions, no comments, other than things will sound good to me. So with that, we'll see if Director Houston thinks this should go to the full board.
Yes.
Okay, all righty then. So do I. So please see that this gets to the board's agenda.
Thank you very much. Well, the next item that we have for you is item 5C. It's an item to award an agreement for the conservation partnership with the South Bay Cities Council of Governments. This is an item that we bring forth every year and obviously would need to be ratified by the board of directors. I did want to highlight that members of the South Bay Cities Council of Governments have indicated that they would likely come and join us at Monday's board meeting, depending on where this item goes. So I wanted to just preface this presentation with that. And for this presentation, we have Gus Meza, our Senior Water Policy and Resources Analyst.
Thank you, EJ. Good morning, Chairman Williams, directors. I'll be providing an update on the accomplishments of our partnership with the South Bay City Council of Governments and also providing a recommendation for their next contract. Accompanying this board memo is a detailed scope of work, detailed budget, and a PowerPoint presentation that you can find on packet page 38. So if we can go to packet page 38, I'll be using that for this presentation. So next slide, please. I think we're all pretty familiar with the South Bay City Council of Governments. They're a joint powers authority government agency here in the South Bay that covers 16 cities and LA County areas as shown here on the map. We have a formal partnership with West Basin and 6 other agencies that are listed here on the slide, including WRD, LADWP, Torrance, and a few others. Next slide, please. our current contract, the South Bay COG staff provides outreach, promotion, and support of West Basin's various conservation programs and initiatives. They leverage their existing contacts and relationships to promote our programs. West Basin staff oversees and manages their contract and budget, and we meet with them on a bi-weekly basis to plan, coordinate, and provide their staff with direction. Their existing agreement will expire next month on June 30th. Next slide, please. Going to briefly, so I am currently on page 41. I'm going to briefly cover the work that they do for West Basin. They provide valuable support of our outreach. They perform coordination and assist with our classes, our rain barrel events. They provide GIS support, and they also utilize their Green Building Assist program to promote our commercial program to over 300 businesses throughout the South Bay. Next slide. Under promotion, they have been able to utilize their Zoom platform to run virtual classes for West Basin. So as you can see here, there's a lengthy list of classes. On some of these, we have West Basin staff presenting the classes, and others will have an instructor. So we'll do that coordination, and they help us with the Zoom platform. So it's a really good partnership there. Next slide, please. As part of their contract, we've established goals and metrics that they must meet. I know there's a lot of information here on these next 3 slides, so I'll just touch on a few of their accomplishments. Under the first task, the South Bay Center receives over 1,250 phone calls per year, or around 100 to 125 phone calls per month regarding our programs. So they're able to assist our residents, help them register for our program, and answer their questions. So we have a West Basin dedicated line at the South Bay Environmental Services Center. On the next task here, exhibit events. They've assisted us by attending 77 events, workshops, and webinars, and are on track to meet the 100 task goal by June. So they're very instrumental in helping us with attending tabling events. You've seen them out in the community, so they really do assist us meet all the requests that we receive here at West Basin. So together with our staff and their staff, we're able to cover these events. They also assist us with finding speaking opportunities for our Speakers Bureau. They're out in the community, they're meeting with cities and different departments, and so they're able to promote our programs and also mention that we have a Speakers Bureau and that we can come out and talk about, present on water. And so they've been able to help us with that. Read a few more. They distribute and maintain our program information at the various city and library counters. So they're regularly going out and updating the information at the city counters, providing our flyers at libraries, and really getting our information out. They also do that kind of work for us. Under the digital communications, they promote our programs through regular e-blasts, social media, and newsletters in coordination with our staff in our public information department as well. They work very closely with it as well. Partnership. They're also they're also able to leverage their contacts, as I mentioned. For example, in the last category there, liaison assistance, they were able to, at our request, when we held our elected officials forums, we asked them if they could reach out to their members, their city council members, to invite them. And so they were very helpful in getting some of the council members to our elected forums. So they do work at different levels. So let's see, next page, please. Here, I'm just going to talk about the rain barrel event. As you're familiar, you know, they take the RSVPs, they provide staff at the events, and they do follow-up databasing of all the participants, and they also help us acquire the installation photos that are required. by Metropolitan Water District. So they do all that work for us. And on page 45, I tried to mention that they've assisted us with 9 classes so far that you can see there. So they are proficient in using the Zoom platform, and I believe we just had a class yesterday, a hybrid class, and I heard it was very successful. Next page, please. Right now, page 46, we show a few photos of some of the tabling events that the South Bay Center attend on our behalf. So we'll just scroll through a few of these. So you can see here, we're out the National Night Out, City of Inglewood. Next slide. Here in Division 1, with the Carson Senior Briefing and Health Fair, distributing our famous buckets, as you can see there. Next slide. Or, we were both at the El Segundo Water and Energy presentation, distributing information there to residents. Next slide. I go at the Hawthorne Earth Day Festival here last month. Next slide. And as I mentioned, we provide staff at our Rainbarrel events, help us on those. So, and there are many more tabling events that they attend on our behalf. So we have a lot of photos, but we just wanted to get that point across. But next slide, please. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover their next contract tasks and budget for the next fiscal year. Next page. This is good. So as you can see here, they're going to continue providing support for the outreach classes and webinars, including the GIS support and using their Green Business Assist program to promote our commercial program to over 300 businesses. Next slide. And as part of the board memo, as I mentioned earlier, we included their scope of work that provides greater detail for each of these tasks. So, here we show the task categories for their new contract and the budget amounts. And on the right-hand side, we provided some highlights. So we identified some areas of support that's needed for our commercial program and for the site visits and assessments. They'll be visiting a lot more commercial businesses, and then also with the Rainbarrel databasing, additional support that's needed there. So there's an overall increase of $10,270 from last year's contract to help with these important support functions. Next page, please. In summary, for the new contract, the South Bay COG and their staff will continue to provide West Basin with excellent support services for the tasks shown here, and that are provided in greater detail, as I mentioned, in their attached scope of work. Next page. Recommendation is that the board authorizes the acting general manager to enter into a conservation partnership agreement with the South Bay City Council of Governments to promote and support West Basin's programs under the direction of staff July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2024, for an amount not to exceed $169,950. So at this time, I can take any questions or comments that you may have.
There's no questions. Yes, I think you all know that, probably all of us, I know I appreciate your partnership. So, so I have worked for 8+ years. We know COG really well with you all, and the fact that they basically serve most of the cities that we serve, and it's a huge extension of you all as your staff. So I think that it's an excellent program. Every time I see them out there, they've got our stuff. Email blasts come out across the region, and they include us in them. So it's just like partnership and coordination.
Director Gear.
I think.
Well, I echo what's been said by Director Houston. I've known about Jackie and her leadership abilities, and I'm not going to tell you how long I've known her. Oh man! But yeah, she's a wonderful leader and great person, and you can tell this by the people she chooses to be on her team. And they do great work, and I too totally support her. Actually support this going forward to the board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next item.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that concludes our action items for today. And takes us to our information calendar, item 6 on the agenda. And the first item that we have is item 6A, and it's our communications update. And for this presentation, we have Melissa Buendia, our public information specialist.
As mentioned, I will be providing an overview of the communications efforts that have taken place over the past month of April 2023. So I'll actually begin on packet page 58, where you'll see a summary of the announcements that have been made the past month. A press release announcing the winners of the Water is Life art contest was distributed, and a couple of e-blasts that went out as well. We did distribute an e-blast helping to promote our Earth Day public tour that we hosted out at the Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility. And we were also mentioned and featured in the South Bay Environmental Services Center monthly newsletter with a story that highlighted the budget process that was beginning. And on packet page, moving on to packet page 59, packet pages 59 through 61 actually summarize the earned media coverage that we got through the month of April. And some of the highlights include the promotion of our Water Lab community education programs that were coming up. We also received some coverage of Director Gray regarding some of the Inglewood City Council and West Basin involvement, as well as the mentions of the district's Earth Month activities throughout the month. And you can see in attachment B that begins on packet page 68 is the full media clips handout, which you can take a look at your leisure. And then in terms of some paid media coverage on packet page, the summary is on packet page 62, I believe. Yes, 62. It does mention here the legal notice regarding the standby charge, as well as a partnered ad that went out for a smart gardening workshop that took place in Malibu. It was part of one of our Earth Month activities and involvement in our cities. So that was great to be mentioned in that ad. Then moving along to packet page 64 for some of our social media highlights, starting with Facebook. Our top posts for Facebook was the art contest popular vote, which is always a good one during that time of year, a lot of participation. We also had an invitation to apply to our internships that were open, and a promotion again, once again, for our public tour that took place on Earth Day. As for Instagram, some of our top posts highlighted our participation in Cal State Dominguez Hills Meet the Companies Night and a group photo from that Earth Month tour or Earth Day tour. And then on packet page 65, the top posts for LinkedIn included the district's participation at a water industry career panel and a recap of the Carson High School cybersecurity internship that we hosted, and the presentation of the Legislator of the Year awards, a recap on that. Now on Twitter, top posts included the water bottle filling station photo opportunity at Miracosta High School and a sharing of some information regarding National Garden. Moving along to packet page 67, in terms of upcoming opportunities, we do have West Basin's quarterly newsletter that's coming up, anticipated construction outreach for the Palos Verdes lateral, and then relaunch of our Grass Replacement Plus program that is slated for early summer. And with that concludes my report. Answering the questions.
no question, but I did see that, our content obviously just blew up on social media, especially Facebook. I guess it's kind of a lot of parents and other people sharing and sharing it. Good engagement. Thank you.
Director Deere,
No, thank you.
contest, I mean, it's just. I'm just like,
Those two,
So-
Janelle and Kaya, for leading that effort.
I mean, it's. better for, it's just hard to believe that someone that young. I mean, it's just amazing. Just amazing. I know you don't go out there and recruit, but. Very good. Thank you so very much. And by the way, just to digress a minute, we are well represented in Region 8 of Aqua by our young. Outstanding job you're doing. And I hope this opportunity is presented to all of our staff that they can get involved in the organizations outside of West Basin that we support. I hope that's going on.
It is.
It's very good, because we can't let this talent sit here. And that, outstanding job. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add something, here we are in May, and you mentioned our staff representing West Basin Municipal Water District in associations like the Association of California Water Agencies. But we are just 1 month removed from Earth Month, and obviously Earth Month and Earth Day. And I think it was the instructions of the board or the directive to represent West Basin at any and every event that was available to us in our service area. And we have, as you know, a pretty diverse and large service area, 17 cities and unincorporated portions of LA County. And this primarily is the group that you see representing West Basin out in the community, along with our administrative staff. I can't tell you how many events that I went to where I saw the West Basin booth and sometimes the South Bay Cities Council of Governments. We were anywhere and everywhere that we could be, despite the fact that we're stretched thin sometimes because the number of events in any given day or any given Saturday. So I just want to say thank you to our staff, our communications team led by Amy, of course, and our newly promoted manager of water policy and resources development that day. The two of them and their teams, along with our admin, of course, just everywhere. So I do want to say thank you and acknowledge all of that effort because it was a long month of April.
Right. Well,
Since you're brought up, I'll say it here too. I totally agree because I know that was a request that we made, and that whole month is extremely busy. Lots of events. I mean, we have many cities and unincorporated we serve. So I think between the COG and our own staff, you did a great job tracking things, trying to meet those requests. Because I know different things would come in and we just shoot it your way and say, hey, throw that one in or whatever. So I know that happened, and then on top of it, we did have some sponsored events with allowed week as well. So it was a very busy April. But I do think, in my opinion, it was more fruitful probably than our usual annual ad when it comes to the actual outreach and touching residents and constituents rather than the one-time ad that people may have seen. Well, I learned a lot along the way, and we can look at how we do it perhaps next year. But, I kept running into you when I would just be out at events, and I kept seeing Gus a lot. Or someone, somebody else's, was it Jamie? Jamie, I think, was it El Segundo run,
Operations team.
PTA run, I think. So it was like all hands on deck. So I do want to say greatly appreciated between you all and the COG, because you really met our class. Need to look at how we do that next year as well. Most of the cities I see now are way more engaged with environmental issues, whether they have a commission or leadership that is pushing that. So, I think that we can work on those relationships, partnerships, and how sometimes even if we couldn't always be physically there, maybe you can partner with the city organization, to get our materials there as well. Last but not least, I know the biggest challenge is Division 4, because the COG doesn't serve Division 4. And so even with all the things coming up, we just may not be able to.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, we do have two more information calendar items. This next item is item 6B. It's our conservation programs update. And for this presentation, we have Gus Meza, our Senior Water Policy and Resources Analyst, as well as Jennifer Vasquez.
Good morning, Chairman Williams, directors. Once again, coming up back at page 137, and my first update is on our partnership with SoCal Gas. SoCal Gas and its vendor, GES, they continue to promote the program to our underserved communities. To date, 103 residents have participated in the program, and our original goal was 100 residents. So we met and exceeded our goal. In the memo on page 130 at the bottom here, you can see the number of devices that have been installed. Percentage of devices, they vary because some residents may already have a high efficiency toilet, but they could use an outdoor smart sprinkler controller and vice versa. So we still have budget to continue installing devices. Next page, please. Next page, 138, we show the cities where the installations have taken place. And during the, we just mentioned Earth Month, we were out there on tabling events, and we had the flyer with us. So we were promoting this program to the communities, and we still continue to promote this program. Since this pilot program has been so successful, we do plan on seeking board support next month to extend this program through March 31st of next year and add additional MWD member agency administered funding. So it would be 100% funded by Metropolitan. So staff will be returning in the next month for approval to continue this program. And that is, let's see, I'll go ahead and move on to the next program, which is the Rain Barrel program. Also on the same page. Seems a little early to be talking about this, but we're starting our planning now for this program because in a few months, in August, we're going to start promoting the program for the September to November program. So yes, the months are coming. So at the bottom of page 138, we provided a table showing some recommended locations that we've already heard from some directors on some of the locations that they would like to see. So we're going to continue working with board services and our acting general manager to confirm the locations with the board, the dates, and the volunteer groups. So we'll be reaching out to you here very shortly and on these recommendations and getting your input as well. So, and my last update is on the IRWIF project. I believe that's on the next page. Yes, thank you, Desiree. And so we have some good news to report on this. Tammy Hurley High here, she mentioned to me that UWR, they recommended all the projects. So they're going to fully fund our two projects that we submitted through IRWIF for UWR. One of them being our joint project up in Malibu for $630,000. And then our other Harbor South Bay water recycling project at $1.3 million. So we finally received final word from them that they're going to be funded. I think you've known about these projects for a while now. So the next step will be for DWR to have an agreement with the LA County Flood Control for this program to provide the funding down to the agencies. So that's in the works. That is my last update. So I'll go ahead. If there's any questions, if not, I'll go ahead and turn this over to Jennifer for her update. Yes.
question, because it's not here anymore, but remember the Malibu Smart Topanga Smart program? I know you all did. Post activity analysis. Just, asking, did we look at how to submit that to any other places? Ever, but did we look at some of that, EJ, or are we looking at that?
Yes, I could help answer that. There's an annual conference, the Water Smart Innovations Conference that takes place. We submitted it to them. We haven't heard back, but if we get selected, we'll be presenting at that conference. And I'm working with our public information department, place information on our website, the report. Hoping to get the word out about that.
Good.
Always, looking for other agencies and conferences and opportunities to spread the word.
I don't know the deadlines, but yeah, like step back one more time and think about anything else coming up where it may or may not be applicable. For example, I don't even know if WEFTEC does anything like this, or water use California or national, because maybe it's, sometimes down the road, some of these conferences are ways out, but you all can pitch it and see if anybody would accept that, for at least a presentation, or maybe they put it into a panel. It's a really good program. I think you're working on how we as an agency can do some of that, both again up in Malibu Topanga, but also down toward the Palos Verdes Peninsula at some point, right?
Correct. And that's how we view that program. Obviously, it was a tremendous success. But if you take that step back, as you mentioned, and you look at it, what our real target was large outdoor landscapes. And so working within our team to always have programs that meet the needs of those communities that have those large landscapes. It's a little bit different than, a Hermosa or Manhattan Beach, where you're talking small landscapes. So having the diversity of programs to meet each residential need is our goal. And then you see that a little bit with our partnership with Las Virgenes, but also our grass replacement program and how we market that. So we're going to continue to do that. And as we always do, we're always looking for awards and continued grant support for these programs.
Good morning, Chairman Williams and members of the committee and board. I will begin on board packet 39.
Sorry.
It's okay. With an update to the Grass Replacement Plus program, which is again in packet page 139. Through the Grass Replacement Plus program, staff is looking to continue offering the free custom landscape designs, free drought tolerant California trees, and additional assistance in applying for the increased grass replacement rebate of $5 for those priority neighborhoods that we note with the Grass Replacement Plus program. On April 24th, the board did approve Ecotech Services, Inc. to provide the residential landscape designs and tree distribution services for the next phase of the program. So staff is excited to begin the meeting with their team to plan for the relaunch of that program. We're currently updating program flyers and preparing the program launch date, which is slated for late June 2023. And as a reminder, program funding was also approved by Metropolitan MAA funding to completely fund this portion of the program. Just noting that within this update. Continuing on into board packet page 140, staff did include the residential grass replacement rebate program information. So just pointing out that in the month of April, we did close out with 12 new applications that were processed through the SoCal Water Smart website. And to date, we do have a total of 290,637 residential square feet that were processed in rebate applications. I did run a report just now to see how many of those have been completed, and we're sitting closer to a completed project number of 82,000 square feet from those 290, just as a reference point. Our team does continue to promote the Grass Replacement Plus the Grass Replacement Program, and we'll be hosting the next West Basin Chat on June 7th at 6 p.m. As a reminder, that is just a great opportunity through the Zoom platform to speak with residents that are interested in the program, that might have questions about how to get started. We continue the West Basin chats, and I think find them quite effective in helping residents that might just have questions about apply for the rebate process. We are currently collaborating with the public information and education team to maximize before and after photos of grass replacement projects to start continuing to collect and also capture those that are being completed through the process. Lastly, I did want to provide an update for the Public Agency Design Assistance Program, which is included within page 141. Just some updates really quick. California State University Dominguez Hills did notify West Basin that they are planning for construction. They do have the RFP process that they are starting there. Not sure when the actual construction will begin. We're following their RFP timeline and we'll be ready to help them with the rebate application, which is already included in the SoCal WaterSmart website for them to secure that funding for that project. The city of Gardena did complete construction of their design project for median along Manhattan Beach Boulevard. So we are working through some of the rebate processing and hope to bring good news in the next month as far as completing that process with them and receiving the rebate. Additionally, staff connected with the Manhattan Beach Unified School District, and we did schedule an upcoming design consultation. We actually are scheduling with Meadows Elementary for Tuesday, May 23rd, to initiate a new design for their school site. So finding out where exactly they would like to address removal of grass. Quite exciting. Also wanted to include that we did reach out to Culver City to provide their current information on the Public Agency Design Assistance Program, and they did pass along information to their public works staff. So we are continuing to work with them in case they are considering any areas for Culver City. Lastly, for this update, we did mention it during our quarterly water resiliency meeting on April 27th, 2023, just to make sure that cities and retail water agencies that attended that meeting were aware that we are continuing to work with our public agency program and offering that free design assistance for all public agencies. I did also, just before I ended my updates, wanted to update that the California Water Efficiency Partnership peer-to-peer event is happening at the end of this month in Long Beach. And staff will be presenting as a guest panelist on a CII conservation framework element, which I think ties very well with what was just mentioned today about more staff involvement in different elements and conferences and events. So just a little bit about CalWEP, just in case you're unaware or forgetting. Their mission is to maximize urban water efficiency and conservation throughout California by supporting and integrating innovative technologies and practices. So they follow a lot of that legislation work also, which is really quite helpful to retail water agencies and wholesale water agencies, learning more about what's coming down from the conservation framework and different tools and resources to begin integrating into their staff. It's a wonderful opportunity for our staff to be involved in that event and quite excited to present later this month. That is the last of my update, and I'm happy to address any additional questions you may have. Thank you.
Director Duso.
Well, there's a lot of good updates, and I think a couple of things I think. My understanding, by the way, of the Culver City Unified School District, I thought they had put in a new person for the issues, but I was informed recently that they're still trying to figure this out over there. So Culver City Unified, that doesn't mean we don't keep talking. The last I heard.
Yes, and I apologize. I part of the list, one of the updates I think that I also have about Culver City Unified is that we are working with staff at the high school to actually integrate new areas of drought tolerant landscape along the entrance portion. I believe it's located next to a parking location. So we're continuing to work and adapt changes to their design. There was some back and forth as far as stormwater capture element and which one to go with. So we're making those edits to the design currently.
Okay, okay. And then, the other thing I was thinking about, is I know that staff met with the city of West Hollywood not that long ago, so just if you would have continued to push the city, if they would hopefully maybe take advantage of some of these programs and staying in the city of El Segundo. Because we all know there's lots of landscape that's just out there. It's just pure grass. I mean, it can be as simple as part of that front space in the high school or city hall or what have you. And I feel like we just have to keep reminding them or I tell the electeds when I see them that we have the program. So I would just ask you all just continue to push and ask and emphasize, because my feeling is everyone's going to get very relaxed over the summer. They get a lot of water, but then as things start drying out, and yes, we have water to supply them, but then they're going to start realizing again, right, as we get into the fire season, just yet. And so I just would ask you all, please continue to push hard and outreach, and also in the city of Malibu as well. Just if they've got a lot of public property space that they might want to look at taking.
Thank you, Director, for those comments, because I think this is a great example of how our two teams work well together. So I look forward to working with Matt in his new capacity, and of course Jennifer. We all work together. We're always working together. But I did want to acknowledge this part of our effort as we look ahead to the new fiscal year and planning. And you saw kind of all those elements, whether it's South Bay involved or staff involved, Speakers Bureau, but it's all from the basis of communications and what we have to say, what resources do we have. And so that's an area of focus both for CII as well as the non-functional turf as topics to make sure we, we have those slides, we have those resources, we have those talking points so that we can go in. And one of the examples I think will be like our first effort, and Jennifer's going to be leading it with you actually, is our the opportunity we have with the El Segundo Environmental Committee, where we intend to kind of focus on that effort, like what's available to the cities, to the, whether as public agencies or commercial. And so this is kind of something where we're kind of seeing how things play out with the budget cycle in terms of, what we have to promote in terms of CII programs itself. But at the same time, there's still that educational opportunity regardless. So I did just want to acknowledge that's something that we agree with and will be working together to carry out.
Director.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to, well, before we do that, Mr. Manager, Assistant, is that right?
A little bit of everything.
You write email. Saw in the paper that the city of Carson has a lot of money now. And they're looking at spending it in the public right of way and in the parks. The reason I bring this up is because we have our Mills Park project that was shy of how much?
So we have $1.3 million that we were just awarded through the grant that Gus mentioned. It's been awarded by the Department of Water Resources. And then we have several million from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. That is dedicated to two specific projects, the North Gardena lateral as well as the Mills Park lateral.
Mills Park is one of them, right?
Correct.
So Carson with its new money, well, we need to talk to them, let them, and ask them, are they now, do they have some money to pitch in because we're a little short, so that we can get this going and we won't be stuck with the moratorium on street projects, because one of the things that they're really looking at in this budget year is street improvement. And if they do new pavement, they're not gonna want us coming in here cutting, right? So there's gonna be a moratorium on street improvement project. So we want to get on them now to see if they can help us avoid this problem in the future and having to pay more for the work if they would come up with that.
So just update on that. Our staff has met with the new Public Works Director and the Public Works team there. We did bring up this issue and sought additional funds to assist us with that project. They didn't mention any newly found funds, but they did obviously dedicate themselves to partnering and working with West Basin Municipal Water District. As you know, it was originally scheduled that West Basin was going to present at a council meeting to touch on this, and I believe that item was unfortunately not agendized, so I don't think they held that presentation. So I'll reach back out to them and raise the issue again, and we can possibly get on a future calendar.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
At the very end of the public agency design, you also have El Camino College, remember, and it was completed design. What was the next steps over at El Camino?
They are still assisting them with some of the numbers as far as the rebate and how much it will cover. They had some questions and also edits to the design. So we are pending a meeting with them to present those changes and also help calculate really how much the rebate will cover. Because it is such a large project, they have to also understand how much will we need to essentially be budgeted within their side for that project.
Where's the project at?
It's across campus, so it includes various, there's a lot of different patches and areas of grass along that campus that they actually walked us through and identified, which is really helpful, especially with the design process. And thinking through how that area is utilized, you know, for the actual landscape designer that was also present on that day, to think through if it's more of a sitting area or a lot of students walk through. So we managed it that way and are making those edits for them.
Okay, where does that put us now?
That brings us to the final item on our information calendar, item 6C, which is our monthly water bottle filling station update. And for this presentation, we have Tammy Hurley, our water policy and resources analyst too.
Thank you, Jay. Good afternoon, Director.
Tammy?
So this update provides just where we're at right now, water bottle filling station. I'd like to begin the presentation slides on the page, top of page 147. And so this is the list of the pending installations that we have right now that are still awaiting to be completely installed. And so for Culver City, they are still experiencing delays. And for the El Segundo Middle School, they have construction of the area where the station is to be located. They expect to have that installed by this summer. And then lastly, there's been an update from the city of Gardena. They have completed construction for 2 of their stations. So one is located at the Rush Gymnasium and one is located at Rowley Park. They still have 2 others that are pending. So we will be working with them, getting their logo and to begin ordering signage for those stations. We can move to the next slide, please. So here is a computer photo opportunity that we were excited to have an opportunity with Cal State University Dominguez Hills. They have installed 2 stations and this photo was taken at their baseball field. Included in the photo with Director Williams is their head coach, Mr. Tyler Wright. And this station has been a nice addition to their campus. The student athletes and the coaching staff rely on this filling station in addition to another 300 visiting team athletes from different universities who attend approximately 20 home games per season. If we can move to the next slide, please.
By the way, you must be physically fit to reach that drinking water station there. Out in the dugout, it's not for young, excuse me, old.
How did you get there?
And 2 very agile people help me down. Back up.
The other filling station here, this other photo is at their softball field. And included in the photo with Director Williams is their head softball coach, Mr. Jim Meyer. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the student athletes and coaching staff rely on these filling stations. They are immensely popular with their athletes and has helped to cut down on plastic bottle waste.
I like the water fountain design. I haven't seen one like those out and about. I mean, I've seen the ones that have the drinking fountain on the side, but that's kind of neat. It's just a standalone column, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this case, yes, but I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed that too. It's different and it's very appealing, you know. I've heard stories of the line of people waiting to fill up their water bottle. It's very handy. Yeah, very, very resourceful. We can move to the next slide, please. So this slide indicates the agencies in which we're coordinating photo opportunities for. We recently completed a photo at the Veteran Park location in Redondo Beach earlier this week. And we will continue to keep all the directors updated as more information becomes available as we continue trying to get these other. If we can move to the next slide, please. So this slide shows the applications that we have received so far. As you're aware, according to the water bottle filling station program guidelines, the eligible entities must be located within the district service area, and then 2 grant awards can be made to each entity per fiscal year. And the budgeted funding is a total of $35,000, divided across the 5 service areas for a total of $7,000 for each division. Just to remind you, what we reported on previously for these applications, for the city of Torrance at El Nido Park, this application is eligible. It is in our service area, and we're just awaiting on additional information to accompany their request. And for Temple Akiva at Culver City, they have submitted 2 applications, and these are the only ones that they've submitted this year. This entity is a not-for-profit private school. And just as you may recall, last year, the board did consider approving this funding. Our council did opine, stating that the expenditures would be for non-secular purpose. And the purpose of these expenditures is to promote water conservation. And so for that reason, council opined that the funding would not be promoting the establishment, but rather the funding would be to promote environmental benefits and conservation. And so for the Environmental Charter High School in Inglewood, this is the 3rd application that we've received this year. And for Victor Park in Torrance, this is located in West Basin Service Area under Division 3. However, Division 3 has already allocated their funding. If we can move to the next slide, please. And then this is the program budget for this year. So far we've received applications for agencies located in Divisions 3, 4, and 5. We have been busy reaching out to entities within Divisions 2, 3, and 5. In an effort to push the program, and so we're just doing additional marketing. I do anticipate seeing a few more applications coming in the coming weeks. And then I also wanted to just mention next month, we'll be bringing this information again to you to consider, accepting the applications that I had just mentioned. Some that, maybe one division was over allocated, so we want to shift funding from one division to another, or at least consider, giving funding to an entity that, is a not-for-profit agency. So I just wanted to update you on that. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And they're working really hard on reminding folks which obligations it. It is in the budget for the next fiscal year, right?
That's correct.
Exact same amount.
Correct.
5,000. It's been a great program. It ebbs and flows, which parts of the service area are, engaged each year, but I just think it's been excellent. And now, of course, as you all know, these types of drinking fountains very mainstream. So almost everywhere you go, you're gonna find them in your facility. We were really ahead of the curve to help with public agencies. And the other thing too, everyone knows, cities are always strapped for financial. Actually, you know what, I will say this while we're here. Tammy, if you would reach out to City of El Segundo, because at the recreation park in El Segundo, there are some old school drinking fountains in there, and I have no idea if there's some plans to replace them, but could you reach out to them specifically?
Yes, I did actually.
Did you?
I did reach out to them. Thank you for bringing that up. And so the engineer, the contact that I had, she had forwarded on to another person in the Parks Division that could have that information so that they can think about this and incorporate it into their planning and upgrade to their locations. She did indicate she didn't think anything would come this fiscal year, but yeah, again, she did forward it on, so we're very appreciative of that. And then again, follow up, you know, in a couple of months, if you haven't heard anything, be checking in with them and see if they're gonna continue.
That's fine, you're right, and there are in their budget planning as we speak too, so. I'll remind them as well, when I see them, some of those folks, but at the same time, I also know that fiscal year it may not happen, but I don't know what the plans are, rec park Thurston.
Director Deere, comments? That's the end of our information of, yeah, calendar.
That's correct.
Then I have this to say, just keep up the good work. You folks are doing some outstanding work. Really do appreciate it, and you make us look good, so that you make us proud. Thank you very much.
Making us look good isn't easy either. Making us look good isn't easy either.
It's tough, but they're up to the job. So that takes us to closed session.
We have no closed session items today.
Director's comments we just got, did that, and that brings us to, gee whiz, I hate to say this. German. Hey, see you on the 15th June.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee board, and thank you to staff